There is a truth so simple, so powerful, it requires no effort to be understood, only surrender. It is this: you do not need to beg for what is already yours. You were not created to chase anything. You are not a servant of circumstance. You are its master. You are not required to fight for the life you desire. You are required only to assume it is already so. The world responds not to your desperation, but to your inner conviction. When you beg, you speak from lack. When you chase, you declare it is not yet yours. But when you feel deeply, quietly, confidently that it is already done, you move the entire universe to bring it forth. Everything begins in the unseen, the invisible reality you cultivate within. Your thoughts, your inner speech, your silent knowing. That is the real seed. You don't water a garden by pleading for it to grow. You water it by knowing it is growing. Step into the version of yourself who already possesses what you once sought. Walk, speak, and live as that version, not pretending, but accepting. To the world it may look like stillness, but in truth, it is the most powerful movement of all, creation from within. No longer do you need to reach outward. The moment you feel it real, it is done. Not tomorrow, not in some distant future, now. In that moment of feeling, the bridge begins to form. The unseen is already organizing, shaping, bending reality to reflect your inner world. So rest. Rest in the knowing. Stop asking if it's working. Stop chasing signs. Stop doubting the power that lives within you. Feel it done. Feel it real. And then allow it to come. You are not a beggar in the kingdom of your own mind. You are the author, the ruler, the dreamer of dreams. Don't beg. Don't chase. Just feel it happen, and so it shall be. The world you experience is not happening to you, it is happening through you. Everything you see, touch, feel, and know is a reflection of the inner state you continuously occupy. There is no power outside of you shaping your destiny without your consent. The secret lies in this unshakable truth. Imagination creates reality. Not someday, not if you're lucky, but always now without fail. You were born with a gift far more powerful than force or effort. It is the power to imagine and believe. And when you dare to imagine from the end, from the place where your desire is already fulfilled, you awaken a law so certain it cannot be broken. You stop living as a victim of chance and begin to walk as the conscious creator of your world. Most people imagine in response to what they see. They observe the current circumstances and then they react. But to live that way is to remain a prisoner of what already is. Nothing new can emerge from that loop. But the one who turns away from appearances and begins to feel into a new state, a new possibility, a new version of self, that person alters everything. It is not enough to simply wish. Wishing comes from separation. It says, I don't have this. It keeps the desire at a distance. But when you imagine from the state of already having it, you claim ownership. You no longer need it to come because you have accepted it as done. And what is accepted inwardly must be reflected outwardly, for the world can only mirror what lives within. You might say, but I don't see it yet. And I say to you, you do not plant a seed and dig it up each day to see if it's growing. You trust the invisible process. The same is true here. Once you have imagined vividly, once you have felt the joy, the peace, the confidence of the fulfilled desire, let it be. Do not return to worry. Do not return to lack. Instead, return to the feeling. Feel it again and again. Occupy the new state until it becomes more familiar than the old. This is not fantasy, this is creation. This is the very method by which your life has always unfolded, whether knowingly or unknowingly. The only difference now is that you choose to do it deliberately. You choose to turn away from the noise of doubt, from the evidence of the senses, and you turn within to the quiet, sacred space of imagination. There is no begging in this space, there is no chasing, there is no struggle. There is only assumption. And assumption, when persisted in, becomes fact. It may not happen instantly, but it must happen, because the outer world must yield to the inner conviction. So whatever it is you long for, love, abundance, freedom, peace, see it now, not with your eyes, but with your spirit. Feel it now, not as a dream to chase, but as a reality to accept. Assume it is already yours. Walk in that state. Speak from that state. Think from that state, and the world will echo back exactly what you dared to believe. There is a sacred power that lies not in effort, not in action, but in feeling. Emotion is not something to be controlled or silenced. It is the golden key, the hidden bridge between what is invisible and what becomes visible. Your feelings are not passive, they are creative. Every time you feel something deeply, you impress it upon the unseen realm, and from that impression, your outer world is formed. This is the mystery so few understand. Feeling is the secret. It is not enough to say the words. It is not enough to hold a desire in your mind like a distant hope. You must feel it in your heart as if it were already real. You must sink into the joy, the satisfaction, the relief of having the thing now. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Because now is the only moment where creation begins. People often try to manifest from a place of force, reciting affirmations without emotion, visualizing without connection. But unless the feeling accompanies the thought, it is lifeless. It is the feeling that breathes life into the image. It is the emotion that gives substance to the unseen. Thought is the mold, but feeling is the fire that sets it. Ask yourself, how would I feel if it were already done? What would peace feel like if the money had already arrived, if the love was already mine, if the healing had already occurred? That feeling is not just a preview, it is not just a daydream. It is the act of creation itself. You do not need to beg the universe. You do not need to struggle. You only need to feel. And feel consistently, not for hours, but with depth. Even a moment of true, sincere feeling carries more power than 1,000 hollow repetitions. Just as a single spark can ignite an entire forest, one moment of true belief can shift your entire world. The reason why many people struggle is because they try to create while holding on to doubt. They feel the lack more than the fulfillment. They imagine the desire, but emotionally live in fear of it not happening. And so the result matches the emotion, not the thought. The universe does not respond to what you want, it responds to what you are. And what you are is defined by what you feel. To change your life, change your emotional state. Let the feeling of the wish fulfilled become your home. Let it be the place you return to throughout the day. Even when the world looks the same, do not be moved. Your job is not to fix the outer, it is to feel the inner. And in time, the outer must bend. It must match the vibration you sustain. When you feel it real, the unseen is already in motion. Paths are opening, circumstances are shifting, but you may not see it yet. And that's fine. The seed does not sprout the moment it's planted, but it grows. And it grows because the feeling was planted deeply. So feel now. Feel as if it's already yours. Let the feeling carry you, guide you, comfort you. And know, truly know, that this feeling is not fantasy. It is creation. It is alignment. And it is the secret that makes the invisible become seen. To live in the end is to stop looking forward to your desire and start looking from it. This is the difference between longing and receiving, between delay and manifestation. As long as you are hoping and wishing, you are affirming that what you want is not yet yours. You are living in separation. But the moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you cross the threshold. You are no longer on the outside looking in. You are dwelling in the very state that calls the unseen into form. Living in the end means occupying the state of consciousness where your desire has already been fulfilled. It's not about pretending or forcing. It's about surrendering to the reality that already exists within. You do not try to make it happen. You assume it is already done. You see the world through new eyes, because from your new state, everything must reflect your inner knowing. This is not a technique of force. It's not a mental trick. It is a quiet but powerful shift. It is turning inward and saying, "This is who I am now." It is letting go of striving, of trying to become, and instead resting in being. You are no longer becoming wealthy, you are wealthy. You are no longer trying to find love, you are already loved. You do not wait for peace. To live in the end is to rearrange your entire identity, and your identity determines your world. You cannot dwell in lack and receive abundance. You cannot feel lonely and attract connection. What you are within is always what is revealed without. So ask yourself not what you want, but who you would be if it were already true. Once you answer that, begin living from that version of yourself, not as a role, not as an act, but as truth. This is the secret few dare to embrace because it requires you to abandon the evidence of the senses. The outer world may tell you it's not done. Your bank account may disagree. Your circumstances may protest. But you do not yield to appearances. You yield only to your inner state. And when you persist in that state, the outer must conform. This is not a matter of time, it is a matter of faith. Faith is not hoping things will improve. Faith is knowing they already have. When you live in the end, you stop checking, you stop doubting, you stop asking when. The only question that remains is, am I feeling from the end? If the answer is yes, then trust the process. The bridge of incidents will appear. Life will rearrange itself to reflect your new assumption. You don't have to figure out how. The how is not your role. Your role is to dwell in the feeling of it being done, consistently, gently, without strain. So release the need to fix the outer. Release the habit of waiting. Begin now. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and place yourself at the end. See it, feel it, own it. Walk in that state, speak from that identity, and watch as reality reshapes itself to mirror who you have become within. This is the power. This is the key. This is the way. Live in the end and let the rest unfold. The law does not respond to begging, wishing, or even asking. It responds to being. This is the great truth hidden in plain sight. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. The universe is not moved by desperation. It is not persuaded by effort. It is completely neutral, mirroring back to you the state of consciousness you consistently occupy. Desire is not wrong, it is the spark. But desire must be followed by assumption. To remain in a state of wanting is to remain in a state of lack. Wanting says, it is not here yet. And the law, ever faithful, reflects that state back as delay, as absence. You are not punished for your desire. You are simply met with the echo of your own inner state. What many fail to understand is that the law is not listening to your words. It is feeling your vibration. It is reading the silent message you carry within you at all times. That message is written not in thoughts alone, but in the deep emotional tone of your being. If you feel incomplete, you will see experiences that confirm your incompleteness. If you feel abundant, even in the smallest way, that seed will be mirrored in the events and circumstances around you. To shift your world, you must shift your identity. Stop asking, when will it happen? And begin asking, who am I being? This is the true work. To become the one who already has what they once sought, not through force, but through surrender. Not by pretending, but by assuming. When you assume the state of already having, you bypass the illusion of time. You declare that the thing you seek is already yours, and because you live from that truth, the world has no choice but to fall in line. You speak differently, you move differently, you think and feel and walk in a way that matches the result, not the process. And that difference, that inner alignment, is the signal that shapes the outer form. You may say, but I don't feel like I have it. Then begin small. Imagine how you would feel if it were true. Not in some distant future, but now. Take that feeling and wear it throughout your day like a new coat. Let it become familiar. Let it become normal. That emotional familiarity is what solidifies your new identity. And once your identity is stable, the world reflects it with precision. The law is simple. Be, and it shall be given. You do not need to push or strive. You do not need to explain or justify. You only need to step into the role. Be the one who is already loved. Be the one who is already successful. Be the one who is already healed, already free, already chosen. Your world is the printout of your self-concept. Change that and you change everything. You don't wait for proof, you become the proof. The outer world is not cause, it is effect. The cause lives within. And when you master that inner state, the outer must obey. So stop wanting and start being. Speak as one who has received. Move as one who has arrived. Feel as one who is fulfilled. For the law responds not to want, but only to what you have dared to become. Persistence in assumption is the silent strength that turns possibility into certainty. It is not loud. It does not beg. It does not argue with appearances. It quietly, stubbornly, and faithfully holds to the unseen truth, even when everything outside seems to say the opposite. This is where true power lies. Not in forcing the world to change, but in refusing to be moved by what has not yet caught up to your inner state. When you assume a new reality, the outer world doesn't always shift immediately. There may be delay, resistance, or even the appearance of the opposite. But this is not failure. This is merely the old echo fading out. It is the shadow of your former self still playing its last scene. If you panic, doubt, or revert to your old mindset, you strengthen the very thing you are trying to move away from. But if you persist, if you remain loyal to your new state of being, the outer world must eventually yield. It is law. The truth is simple but profound. The world reflects the dominant assumption you carry within. Not a passing thought or a fleeting hope, but the deep, settled belief of who you are and what is true for you. That assumption, when held consistently, becomes your reality. But it must be held, not visited occasionally or tested to see if it's working, but inhabited as your dwelling place. This means walking through your days with the inner knowing that what you have assumed is already done, even if the bank account says otherwise, even if the person hasn't called, even if your body still feels the pain. You remain unmoved. You say within yourself, this is just the old story fading. I know who I am now. I know what I have chosen to accept as true, and in that steadiness, you create. Persistence is not effort. It is not grinding or forcing. It is simply returning again and again to your inner vision, your inner conviction, your inner reality. It is choosing to believe your imagination over your senses. It is knowing that the unseen is more real than what appears, because what appears is always the result of what you have already accepted inwardly. This path requires discipline of mind, not through suppression but through awareness. When doubts arise, and they will, you don't fight them. You simply turn your attention back to your assumption. When fear creeps in, you don't panic, you breathe and you remember, I have already claimed this, it is already mine. You treat the inner world as sacred because you know it is the source of all that is to come. The one who persists is the one who wins, not because of luck, not because of effort, but because reality cannot help but conform to the dominant assumption. It has no choice. The outer must bend to the will that does not waver. So stay firm, stay inwardly convinced. See the result in your mind's eye until it becomes natural, until it feels familiar, until it is no longer a question but a fact in your heart. Do not look for signs, become the sign. And trust deeply, calmly, completely that what you hold within must be reflected without. For reality always yields to the one who dares to persist. Effort, in the way most people understand it, is resistance disguised as action. It is the attempt to force the outer world into compliance, as though creation were a matter of pushing pieces into place. But true manifestation is not a product of struggle. It is born from stillness, from certainty, from the effortless flow of being. You are not meant to chase what is yours. You are meant to align with it, feel it, and allow it. Chasing is rooted in lack. It declares to the universe, I do not have this yet, so I must pursue it. And in doing so, you affirm the very separation you're trying to eliminate. The more you chase, the further it feels. You may act, you may plan, you may move, but if your inner state is one of trying rather than being, you remain in a cycle of delay. But when you let go of effort, not action, but effort, you open the door to receive. You shift from pushing to trusting. You enter the flow. That flow isn't passive, it is receptive. It is the deep knowing that what is yours will find its way to you, not through strain, but through alignment. You no longer need to run toward your desire. You realize you're already standing where it belongs, within the feeling, within the state. Creation responds not to how hard you try, but to how real you feel it to be. When you feel it real, the world must organize itself to match your feeling. This is not about pretending. It is about surrendering into the reality you've chosen. When you no longer see it as separate, you stop trying to make it happen and begin to live as if it already has. Letting go of effort means releasing the need to manipulate outcomes. It means no longer checking the clock, scanning for signs, or seeking validation from the outer world. It is resting in the truth that it is already done. And that rest is powerful. That quiet trust is the foundation upon which all visible change is built. You are not meant to be in constant striving. You are meant to be in constant knowing. Action can and will come, but it will be inspired, not forced. You will be moved by intuition, nudged by clarity, led by peace. And those actions will carry far more power than 1,000 acts taken from doubt. Allowing the flow is not laziness. It is mastery. It is the wisdom of inner alignment over outer aggression. It is understanding that the self that knows it already has magnetizes what it desires, not because it begs, not because it pushes, but because it no longer stands in its own way. So stop chasing, pause, breathe, feel the reality you desire is already yours. Let it saturate your senses, not with strain but with ease. Say quietly to yourself, this is mine. I need not reach for it. I already contain it. And in that calm, in that certainty, you enter the current of the unseen, where all things flow from the inner to the outer. Let go. Allow. Feel it done. And watch how easily life brings to you what you once thought you had to chase. When you stop begging, stop chasing, and instead feel it real, everything changes. You move from hoping to knowing, from wanting to being. The outer world is no longer your master, but your mirror. You no longer live in reaction, but in creation. Assumption becomes your foundation. Feeling becomes your language, and persistence becomes your silent strength. You do not need to fight, convince, or wait. You need only to become. When you live in the end, when you know the law responds to who you are, not what you want, you walk in a quiet power. You shift from force to flow, and in that shift, life begins to unfold effortlessly, beautifully, faithfully. So let go of effort, embrace the stillness, feel it as already done, and trust completely that what is yours is already on its way, because it has no choice. You've already claimed it within. Thank you for listening.
There comes a time in every life when one must step away from the familiar and venture onto a path that no one else can walk for them. This journey, solitary as it may seem, is not a curse nor an abandonment. It is, in truth, an invitation to experience the depths of self-reliance, to come face to face with the boundless power within you. Self-reliance is the cornerstone of any meaningful journey towards self-realization. It is often misunderstood, cast aside in a world that prizes conformity, validation, and the ever-present company of others. But to truly understand the power and importance of self-reliance, we must look beyond these surface needs and into the heart of what it means to trust and rely on oneself. Self-reliance is not isolation from others, it is the development of a profound inner resource that, once cultivated, remains a steady guide through both calm and turbulent times. There is a transformative power in cultivating self-reliance. For most, life is a constant search for external guidance, for someone or something to illuminate the way. We look to others to tell us what to believe, how to think, and what steps to take. But no one outside of you can truly know your path. Each individual carries within them a unique journey, a distinct purpose, a direction only they can see. To rely on others to clarify this path is to lose touch with the inner compass that has been guiding you since the beginning. The real work lies in learning to listen to yourself, to trust the wisdom within, even when others don't understand or approve of the choices you make. Embracing self-reliance means accepting that, ultimately, no one else will fully understand your vision, your aspirations, or your potential. This can be challenging. We are social beings, and we often crave the comfort of others' validation. But if we allow ourselves to become dependent on this approval, we compromise our autonomy and abandon our true desires. We mold ourselves to fit others' expectations, which in turn weakens our connection to the self. Self-reliance is the ability to remain steadfast in who you are and what you want, regardless of external influences. It is knowing that you alone possess the strength, wisdom, and insight to direct your life toward its fullest expression. Consider that self-reliance is about cultivating a relationship with yourself that is so complete that, even in the face of uncertainty, you can find peace and direction. It is the quiet confidence that you have what you need within you, even if all else falls away. This strength becomes your foundation, a firm ground beneath your feet that does not waver, even as the world shifts around you. When you cultivate this strength, you begin to recognize that you no longer need to look outside for answers. You realize that the answers have always been there, within you, waiting for you to quiet the noise and listen. There is a sacredness in walking alone. in knowing that your path is meant for you and you alone. While there may be others who offer guidance, only you can decide where and how to walk. The world is full of distractions and voices that claim to know what's best for you. But self-reliance requires a selective attention, a willingness to listen only to what resonates deeply and dismiss what does not align with your truth. When you learn to rely on yourself, you become immune to the sway of external voices. Your choices come from an authentic place within, not from an obligation to please others or a fear of standing apart. This path is not without challenges. There will be moments of doubt, moments where solitude feels daunting, and the temptation to lean on others seems overwhelming. But in these moments, self-reliance reminds you that you are capable, that you have within you the strength to endure and to thrive. These moments of doubt are invitations to go even deeper into yourself, to reaffirm your commitment to your own path. With each step taken independently, you strengthen your belief in your own capacity. Every time you choose self-trust over external approval, you build a foundation that will support you through any challenge. When you cultivate self-reliance, you are not alone, because you have yourself. You have the understanding that you are your own best friend, your own guide, and your own confidant. This realization does not isolate you, it frees you. It allows you to engage with others from a place of authenticity rather than need. You no longer seek relationships to fill a void or give you direction. Instead, you share your journey with others, knowing that it is whole and complete on its own. In a world driven by external validation, where people seek approval and confirmation from countless sources, the idea of relying solely on inner vision might seem revolutionary, even uncomfortable. But inner vision is the purest compass we possess, a deeper sense of knowing that transcends the opinions, judgments, and expectations of others. This inner vision, your intuitive sense of direction, is the most authentic guide you have in navigating life's journey. When you learn to trust this vision, you find a power and purpose that external validation can never provide. To cultivate inner vision over outer validation is to embrace a path that may not be well-trodden but is, without a doubt, uniquely yours. From a young age, many are conditioned to rely on others to determine their worth, progress, and potential. Approval from family, praise from teachers, recognition from peers, these become the benchmarks by which one measures success and happiness. While validation from others can feel gratifying, it's often temporary and inconsistent, vulnerable to change as trends, opinions, and societal norms shift. The problem with relying on outer validation is that it requires you to mold yourself to fit others' ideals, abandoning parts of yourself that might not align with these expectations. This dependence on external feedback creates a hollow sense of self that fluctuates with every opinion. It is a self built on shifting sand. Inner vision speaks quietly. It doesn't demand attention or require applause, it simply guides. To connect with it requires stillness, patience, and a willingness to trust yourself. This is no easy task in a world filled with endless distractions and opinions, but the reward is immeasurable. When you follow your inner vision, you begin to live in alignment with your true self. You make choices not to impress others, but to honor what feels right and fulfilling to you. This alignment brings a sense of peace that outer validation can never provide, because it is rooted in a truth that does not waver. The beauty of inner vision is that it is uniquely tailored to you. Only you can truly know what resonates with your heart, what sparks your spirit, what aligns with your soul. When you listen to this vision, you discover a path that may look different from others, but it is one that fulfills you deeply. With inner vision, there is no need for comparison, because you recognize that your journey is not meant to mirror anyone else's. You stop looking outward for confirmation and instead find satisfaction in knowing you are moving in the direction that feels most genuine to you. Choosing inner vision over outer validation also requires a willingness to let go of the fear of being misunderstood. Not everyone will see or understand your path, and that is perfectly fine. So, inner vision is not about seeking to be understood or accepted. It is about being true to yourself, even if that truth is visible only to you. This requires a certain resilience, a faith in your own perception and experience that does not rely on others' acknowledgement. Over time, as you continue to prioritize your inner vision, you develop a quiet confidence and knowing that you are capable of finding your way without needing approval at every turn. One of the greatest rewards of inner vision is that it leads to genuine self-respect. When you make choices aligned with your inner vision, you respect your own values, desires, and intuition. This self-respect becomes a powerful foundation, one that outer validation cannot offer. With it, you stand taller, speak with conviction, and live with a sense of purpose that is unshakable. You are no longer swayed by every passing trend or opinion, for you have found a source of validation that is both lasting and true your own. Choosing inner vision over outer validation is an act of profound self-trust. It's a commitment to live life in a way that is meaningful to you, regardless of how it might be perceived. This is not an easy path, but it is deeply rewarding, for it allows you to experience life with a richness and depth that cannot be achieved by seeking approval from others. Inner vision frees you from the limitations of outer validation, allowing you to walk your path with courage, confidence, and the assurance that you are guided by the clearest vision there is your own. It is often misinterpreted as loneliness, as though being alone means lacking something essential. However, solitude and loneliness are two vastly different states of being. Solitude is an active choice, a deliberate embrace of one's own company. It's a form of strength that reveals itself when you allow yourself to step away from the constant noise and distractions of the outside world. When you choose solitude, you are not isolating yourself out of necessity or deprivation. Instead, you are connecting more deeply with your inner self. In solitude, you cultivate a strength that cannot be found in the presence of others, a strength rooted in self-understanding, resilience, and authenticity. To embrace solitude as strength is to recognize that true growth often happens when we are alone. When we detach ourselves from the expectations, judgments, and influence of others, we create space to listen to our own thoughts and feelings. In this space, clarity emerges. We begin to see ourselves as we truly are, unfiltered by the opinions of those around us. Solitude is a mirror reflecting back our innermost desires, fears, and aspirations, free from the distortions that arise from constant external feedback. When you can face yourself fully in moments of solitude, you develop an unshakable sense of who you are, what you want, and what truly matters to you. Embracing solitude also allows you to experience life more fully, without the filters of others' expectations or opinions. In the company of others, it's natural to adjust our behavior, often subtly, to align with the group. But when you are alone, there is no need for pretension or performance. You can be wholly and authentically yourself. This authenticity deepens your connection with your true self, helping you to understand and embrace every facet of your personality. In solitude, you discover that you are a complete individual, not defined by your relationships or your role in a group. You become free to explore your true nature, your dreams, and your strengths without interference. Solitude helps to build emotional resilience. When you learn to be comfortable in your own company, you become less dependent on others to fulfill your emotional needs. This doesn't mean you reject connection or avoid relationships, but it does mean that you no longer need others to complete you. You have developed the capacity to find fulfillment within yourself. This emotional resilience gives you a steady foundation. Even if people come and go from your life, you remain rooted in a sense of wholeness that no one can take away. Embracing solitude as strength requires a shift in perspective. Society often sends the message that solitude is something to be avoided, a state of incompleteness. But solitude is, in fact, a profound opportunity to reclaim your inner power. When you learn to find joy, contentment, and strength in your own company, you are liberated from the fear of being alone. You no longer feel the need to seek companionship merely as a distraction or escape. Instead, your relationships become an extension of your wholeness, not a requirement for it. In solitude, you recognize that your worth and value do not depend on the presence of others. Over time, solitude becomes a source of renewal, a place where you return to center yourself. Life can be demanding, and we are often pulled in many directions. our attention fragmented by endless responsibilities and demands. Solitude allows you to step back, to recharge, and to reconnect with what truly matters to you. In this space you find clarity, peace, and a reminder of your purpose. Solitude is not an absence, but a fullness of self that empowers you to face the world with greater strength and resilience. There is a deep-seated belief that guidance must come from the outside, from some higher authority, a teacher, or a trusted voice. We look outward for answers, seeking clarity in places and people around us. Yet the truth is that divine guidance lies within each of us, accessible at any moment we choose to listen. This guidance is not a distant force or something we must chase or prove worthy of. It is an ever-present wisdom within us, waiting patiently for us to recognize its voice. This inner guidance, often drowned out by the noise of our busy lives and the doubts that cloud our minds, holds the answers to our deepest questions and desires. To understand that divine guidance lies within is to realize that we are inherently connected to a source of wisdom that is profoundly personal, limitless, and entirely our own. Learning to trust in this inner guidance requires a shift from looking outward to looking inward. It's a journey of peeling back layers of self-doubt, societal expectations, and fears that keep us disconnected from our intuition. Many are hesitant to turn inward, afraid that they might find emptiness or confusion. But inner guidance does not come through logic or reasoning alone. It comes from a place of quiet knowing, from a depth that exists beyond words and definitions. This is the divine voice within you, the one that does not need approval, the one that speaks with clarity when you silence the external clamor and allow yourself to truly listen. The beauty of this inner guidance is that it is uniquely suited to you. Unlike external advice, which may or may not align with your true self, divine guidance flows directly from the essence of who you are. It knows your dreams, your desires, and your potential. It does not need to be convinced or persuaded because it is already in tune with your soul's purpose. This inner wisdom arises from a place that is beyond time, beyond circumstance. It knows what is right for you in this moment and in every moment to come. When you allow yourself to tap into this wisdom, you find that your choices become clearer, your path more aligned, and your steps filled with confidence. Trusting in inner guidance requires a certain faith, not in something outside yourself, but in the quiet power that resides within. This trust is not blind, it is built through experience, through each moment where you follow your intuition and realize that it led you exactly where you needed to be. Divine guidance may not always lead you to the easiest path, but it will lead you to the one that fulfills you most deeply. Sometimes it challenges you to step outside your comfort zone, to take risks, or to confront aspects of yourself that you might prefer to avoid. But each step in alignment with your inner wisdom brings growth, self-understanding, and ultimately a life that feels true to you. Many people wonder how to recognize this inner guidance. How can they tell the difference between divine intuition and fleeting thoughts or fears? The voice of divine guidance is gentle but unwavering. It does not shout or insist. It speaks quietly, yet with an authority that resonates at the core of your being. When you feel this kind of quiet certainty, you are often experiencing the whisper of your inner wisdom. The challenge is not in hearing it, but in trusting it, especially when it suggests a path that defies logic or contradicts the opinions of those around you. True inner guidance will always lead you towards a place of peace and authenticity, even if the journey there seems uncertain. This journey to connect with inner guidance requires practice and patience. Meditation, reflection, and simply allowing yourself moments of quiet throughout your day can help you tune into this deeper wisdom. When you give yourself permission to step away from the demands and distractions of daily life, you create space for divine guidance to emerge. These moments of stillness are not empty, they are filled with the possibility of clarity, with the potential to reveal truths that have been buried beneath layers of doubt and fear. In this space, you come to understand that you do not need to seek guidance externally because you have access to a wellspring of insight within you. Living from a place of inner guidance is empowering. It releases you from the constant need for validation and approval. You no longer feel the pressure to conform to others' expectations or to seek answers in every book or mentor. You become your own source of direction, capable of navigating life's twists and turns with grace. Divine guidance does not mean that life will be free from challenges, but it does mean that you will face those challenges with a sense of purpose and strength that comes from within. When you live from this place of inner wisdom, you realize that you are already enough, that you possess within you all you need to create a fulfilling life. The true essence of divine guidance lies in its simplicity. It does not complicate, it clarifies. It does not demand, it suggests with gentleness. This guidance is a gift, a sacred connection to the source of life within you. It asks only that you trust in its voice, that you believe in the depth of your own wisdom, and that you allow yourself to be led by your heart rather than by fear or doubt. Divine guidance is an invitation to live with authenticity, courage, and grace, embracing each moment as an opportunity to deepen your connection with the self. When you choose to listen to and trust this inner guidance, you become aligned with a truth that cannot be shaken. You are guided by a force that knows your potential, that sees your dreams, and that supports you unconditionally. In embracing the divine guidance within, you find that you no longer need to search for answers outside yourself. You are whole, complete, and fully capable of creating a life that reflects the depth and beauty of your unique soul. This is the power of divine guidance to bring you back to yourself, to remind you that everything you seek is already within, waiting patiently for you to listen. Often perceived as a state to be avoided, can instead be a powerful means of refinement. In a world full of noise, demands, and constant interaction, isolation provides an opportunity for deep personal growth and transformation that is otherwise difficult to achieve. When willingly embraced, isolation becomes an invitation to strip away the distractions that dilute our essence, allowing us to reconnect with our authentic selves. Through this deliberate separation from external influences, we can identify, confront, and ultimately refine our innermost beliefs, values, and purpose. To refine oneself through isolation is to step away from the clutter of expectations, those imposed by society, family, friends, and even our own conditioned mind. These expectations often cloud our perception of who we are and what we desire. When you enter a state of isolation, you detach from the identities others have projected onto you. You are no longer someone's colleague, friend, or family member, but simply yourself, a person with unique thoughts, dreams, and questions. This shift can be disorienting, as it forces you to face aspects of yourself that may have been hidden or neglected. However, in that discomfort lies the seed of transformation. Isolation allows you to sift through the layers of conditioning, shedding what no longer serves you, and revealing the core of who you truly are. The process of refinement through isolation is akin to a craftsman polishing a rough stone. Each moment spent in solitude, reflecting and confronting one's thoughts, reveals another facet of the self. In isolation, you may uncover fears, insecurities, or unresolved emotions that have long lingered beneath the surface. Without the distractions of the external world, there is nowhere for these emotions to hide. This can be challenging, even painful, as it demands that you sit with yourself without the usual escapes. But rather than something to fear, this confrontation is an essential step toward growth. Only by acknowledging and processing these buried aspects can you release their hold on you, creating space for greater clarity and peace. Fosters self-sufficiency. In the absence of constant feedback from others, you learn to rely on your own judgment and intuition. This self-reliance is a powerful form of refinement, as it teaches you to make choices that are aligned with your true desires rather than those that seek approval or acceptance. When you trust yourself, you cultivate inner strength that is unshakable by external opinions or criticism. You begin to understand that your worth and your path are not contingent on the validation of others, but are grounded in your own intrinsic value. This inner strength becomes a foundation on which you can build a life that is authentic and fulfilling. Isolation allows you to deepen your understanding of what truly matters to you. In the stillness, you gain perspective on your relationships, goals, and values. You can assess your life from a place of detachment, seeing clearly what aligns with your purpose and what does not. This process is not about cutting ties or abandoning commitments, but about refining your focus. You identify the relationships that uplift you and the pursuits that ignite your passion, shedding those that drain or distract you. In doing so, you begin to curate a life that reflects your highest aspirations. Isolation also enhances creativity and innovation. Away from the influence of others, your mind is free to explore ideas, visions, and perspectives that are uniquely your own. Creativity often flourishes in solitude because there is space for experimentation without judgment. When you are alone, you can pursue your thoughts to their depths, allowing your imagination to roam freely. This freedom to create without inhibition is a gift of isolation, one that has fueled the creativity of countless artists, thinkers, and leaders throughout history. In isolation, you cultivate a wellspring of originality, discovering ideas and insights that might never emerge in a crowd. Refinement through isolation is a process that builds resilience. When you learn to sit with yourself, facing both your strengths and your weaknesses, you become comfortable with your own company. You no longer need to seek distractions or constant interaction to feel complete. This sense of self-sufficiency fosters resilience, allowing you to handle life's challenges with greater composure and independence. Even when life's storms arise, you remain grounded, secure in your ability to navigate them without relying on others to define or complete you. Isolation brings about an awakening of self-awareness. It strips away the layers that obscure your understanding of who you are and what you are capable of. In this space, you are left with a raw, honest version of yourself, a self that is resilient, creative, and self-reliant. This refined self can step back into the world not as a fragmented being defined by roles or expectations, but as a complete, authentic individual. Isolation, then, is not an end but a powerful tool for transformation, allowing you to return to the world with a renewed sense of purpose, clarity, and confidence. Refinement through isolation also fosters a profound sense of peace. By spending time alone, you learn to find contentment within yourself. You realize that true peace is not something that comes from external circumstances or relationships, but from a place of inner alignment. This peace becomes a steady presence, one that remains with you even in the company of others, guiding your interactions and decisions from a place of authenticity. You no longer seek fulfillment from external sources, because you have discovered a sense of completeness within. When embraced is a journey of becoming. It is not a retreat from life, but a deepening into oneself, an opportunity to become the person you were always meant to be. Through isolation, you refine your purpose, strengthen your resolve, and reconnect with the limitless potential that resides within you. This journey is challenging, but it is also profoundly rewarding, for it brings you face to face with the power, wisdom, and peace that have always been within, waiting patiently to be revealed. In a world of constant connection, the discipline of intentional separation offers a transformative path to clarity, self-discovery, and inner strength. This practice is not about isolating oneself indefinitely or rejecting society, rather. It's about creating purposeful distance from external influences that often cloud our thoughts and distract us from our true purpose. Intentional separation involves setting aside moments or periods of solitude to reconnect with our core values and intentions, allowing us to shed the layers of expectations and obligations that can obscure our sense of self. It's a form of discipline that demands courage, for it requires us to step away from the familiar and face ourselves fully, without the comforting noise of distraction. Intentional separation begins with the recognition that clarity arises in silence. When we are constantly engaged with the world through social media, work, social obligations, or even casual interactions, it becomes challenging to discern our own voice from the voices of others. We may begin to mistake our desires for the aspirations others have for us, or to measure our worth through the lens of external validation. This habitual connection to the world can gradually dilute our inner vision, pulling us away from the unique path we are meant to walk. Through intentional separation, we deliberately withdraw from this noise, creating a sanctuary where our own thoughts and feelings can surface unfiltered. In these moments of solitude, we allow our inner voice to speak with clarity and strength, revealing insights that are often inaccessible in the rush of daily life. Practicing the discipline of separation also encourages profound self-awareness. When we are alone, removed from the expectations of others, we begin to see ourselves more honestly. Intentional separation reveals aspects of our personality, our patterns, and even our fears that are easier to overlook in the company of others. So, we may become aware of our tendencies to seek approval, to hide certain aspects of ourselves, or to prioritize goals that don't truly resonate with our heart. This self-awareness is crucial for growth, because it lays bare the areas where we may need healing, acceptance, or change. By regularly creating space for intentional separation, we develop a deeper understanding of our motivations, ultimately leading to more authentic choices and actions. Separation is a discipline that strengthens our resilience. In the silence of solitude, we confront the discomforts we often avoid. This may include feelings of loneliness, self-doubt, or unresolved emotions. While these encounters can be uncomfortable, they also teach us how to sit with ourselves without needing to escape or distract. This resilience, cultivated through facing our inner world, becomes a valuable asset in life. When challenges or disappointments arise, we are less likely to seek validation or comfort outside ourselves because we've learned to find stability within. Through the discipline of separation, we come to realize that our strength does not depend on external factors or relationships. It is something we carry within us, accessible at all times. Separation also allows us to reconnect with our purpose. In the busyness of life, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. We may find ourselves caught up in activities, routines, or even relationships that drain our energy or lead us away from our core values. Through intentional separation, we give ourselves the chance to reflect on these aspects of our lives, examining whether they align with our deeper purpose. This practice can be profoundly clarifying, illuminating the pursuits that bring us genuine fulfillment and those that do not. In this reflective space, we may uncover new goals, rediscover passions, or even realize that certain paths we've been following no longer serve us. Intentional separation becomes a time to realign with what is meaningful, allowing us to move forward with renewed focus and dedication. Practicing the discipline of intentional separation ultimately leads to a stronger sense of self-reliance. By periodically detaching from others' opinions and influences, we learn to trust our own judgment. This trust is invaluable because it empowers us to make decisions that are true to ourselves rather than swayed by societal pressures or the approval of others. When you become comfortable with intentional separation, you begin to rely on your own inner compass. You no longer feel the need to constantly check if you're on the right path according to others' standards. Instead, you feel a quiet confidence, a knowing that you are guided by something deeper, something uniquely yours. Separation is also a way to reclaim our personal power. By stepping away from the demands and distractions that pull at us, we take control of our time, our energy, and our attention. This is a powerful act, for it affirms that our lives are ours to direct. When we dedicate time to being alone, to nurturing our inner world, we assert our autonomy. We choose to invest in ourselves, not out of selfishness, but out of respect for our own growth and well-being. This sense of self-directedness empowers us to live a life that feels genuinely fulfilling and aligned with our truest values. The discipline of intentional separation fosters a lasting sense of peace. When you are constantly engaged with the external world, there is a tendency to get caught up in its chaos, to absorb its anxieties and insecurities. But in intentional separation, you find a refuge, a space of stillness where you can reconnect with a sense of calm that transcends external circumstances. This inner peace is not fragile, it is enduring because it is rooted in your own being. It becomes a place you can return to whenever you need to reset, to find balance, or to remember what truly matters. Intentional separation is a powerful discipline, one that offers clarity, resilience, self-reliance, and peace. It is a practice that reminds you of your inherent worth, your inner strength, and your unique path. By embracing this discipline, you gain the freedom to live authentically, unburdened by the need to conform or seek constant validation. Through intentional separation, you find yourself again, and in doing so, you emerge with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to engage with the world from a place of true self-alignment. Faith in one's own power is a quiet yet transformative force, a strength that springs from deep within and fuels resilience, self-confidence, and purpose. It's not merely a belief in one's abilities, but a profound trust in one's capacity to shape their reality, to influence outcomes, and to rise above limitations. In a world that often encourages reliance on external validation, cultivating faith in one's own power is a return to the self-realization that everything needed for fulfillment, peace, and success already exists within. This faith is an unshakable foundation, a steady assurance that you are enough as you are and capable of achieving what you set out to do. This faith begins with self-awareness. To have faith in one's power, one must first know themselves beyond surface identities, social roles, and transient desires. When you truly know yourself, you're less likely to be swayed by opinions or deterred by challenges. Instead, you move with purpose because your actions are rooted in a deep understanding of your strengths, values, and unique perspective. This inner awareness becomes a compass, guiding you through life with a sense of clarity and conviction. You come to recognize your potential, not as a fleeting quality, but as an intrinsic part of who you are. Faith in your own power is therefore inseparable from knowing and accepting yourself fully. Self-doubt can be one of the greatest obstacles to believing in your own power, but it is also a powerful teacher. Rather than trying to eradicate self-doubt entirely, recognize it as an invitation to strengthen your faith. Doubts will arise, they are a natural part of growth. Instead of viewing doubt as a weakness, use it as a catalyst for self-reflection. Ask yourself why certain fears or uncertainties persist. Often these doubts point to areas where you can cultivate greater confidence and resilience. By facing your doubts directly, you prevent them from undermining your faith. You come to understand that doubt doesn't diminish your power, it provides an opportunity to deepen it by overcoming inner resistance. Faith in your power is also nurtured through consistent action. It's not enough to simply believe in yourself, you must take steps that reflect that belief. Each action, no matter how small, is a testament to your commitment to yourself. These actions build momentum, gradually reinforcing your faith in what you are capable of. Through action, you move from the realm of potential to reality, demonstrating to yourself and others that you are willing to turn dreams into tangible outcomes. When you consistently show up for yourself, even when circumstances are challenging, you prove that your power is not just a possibility but a living, breathing reality. Faith in your own power requires a willingness to take risks and embrace failure. Failure is not a reflection of inadequacy, but a part of the learning process, a stepping stone to mastery. When you have faith in your power, you understand that setbacks are temporary and that every experience, whether successful or not, contributes to your growth. This perspective frees you from the fear of making mistakes or falling short. Instead, you become resilient, knowing that your worth and potential are not diminished by outcomes. You trust in your ability to learn, adapt, and move forward, making each experience a building block for your success. This faith also fosters a profound sense of independence. When you believe in your own power, you are less reliant on others' opinions or approval. You become the primary source of your own confidence and direction. This doesn't mean that you reject others' support or advice, but rather that you are grounded in your own decisions and path. Your actions come from a place of inner assurance rather than external influence. This independence is liberating, for it allows you to pursue what is meaningful to you without the need to conform or compromise to please others. You live from a place of self-trust, guided by your own convictions. Faith in your own power leads to a life of purpose and fulfillment. When you trust in yourself, you are able to pursue goals and dreams that resonate deeply with your heart. This pursuit is not driven by a desire for validation, but by a genuine desire to express your unique potential and make a meaningful impact. You recognize that you have the power to contribute something valuable to the world, whether through creativity, compassion, leadership, or wisdom. This sense of purpose becomes a source of joy and motivation, sustaining you through both highs and lows. Faith in your own power is not about ego or superiority. It is about honoring the potential within you, respecting your capacity to create, to learn, and to evolve. It is about standing firm in the understanding that you are enough, just as you are, and that everything you need for fulfillment and growth is already within. With this faith, you become unstoppable, for you are no longer hindered by fear, self-doubt, or the need for approval. You are free to live authentically, to pursue your dreams, and to contribute to the world in ways that are uniquely yours. Through this faith, you become the creator of your own life, a powerful force for good, rooted in the unshakable knowledge of your own worth and potential. By recognizing and overcoming self-doubt, taking purposeful action, and viewing failure as a stepping stone rather than a setback, we reinforce our faith in ourselves. This faith empowers us to live authentically, to pursue our passions, and to contribute meaningfully to the world. Ultimately, it leads us to a life rich with purpose and fulfillment. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of the power that lies within each of us. May you continue to nurture your inner strength, embrace the journey of self-discovery, and trust in your own unique potential. My friends, understand that being alone is a calling, a sacred initiation, crafted not as punishment, but as preparation. In solitude, you aren't abandoned, you're invited to uncover the essence of divinity dwelling within you. Imagine the silence that surrounds you as a temple, a space where every distraction falls away, leaving only you and the Creator of all things. In the silence of solitude, we find a divine invitation. Many see aloneness as loneliness or as something to escape, but this experience is in fact a sacred preparation, a period of divine crafting where God molds you for a higher purpose. Often, when we are surrounded by others, our focus is directed outward, and we respond to the demands of social norms, to the expectations of family, friends, and society. But when we are alone, stripped of distractions and obligations, we begin to truly understand who we are and what we are meant to become. Imagine that being alone is a place where you can finally lay down the weight of societal conditioning. From the time we are born, we are told who we should be, what we should want, and where we should go. This conditioning runs deep, and it forms layers over our authentic selves, masking our true desires and dreams. In aloneness, these layers begin to fall away. You are left with nothing but the raw, unpolished version of yourself. This unpolished self may seem unfamiliar, even uncomfortable, but it is also free from the artificial demands of the outside world. It is the self that is closest to divine truth, the self that exists beyond ego, fear, and doubt. When you find yourself in this space, know that it is not abandonment, it is God's way of drawing you back to your essence. Solitude provides a space where you can cultivate resilience and fortify your spirit. In the presence of others, we may lean on them for support, validation, or encouragement. But alone, you learn that true strength comes from within. It's as though God places you in this setting to show you the resilience you didn't know you had, to reveal that you are capable of withstanding the storms of life without crumbling. In this silence, you discover a source of strength that has been with you all along, a strength that is not contingent on external circumstances. This resilience becomes a tool that you will carry with you, a foundation on which you can build a life that is unshakable, no matter the challenges you face. When God brings you into a period of solitude, it is also a time of discernment, a period to clarify your path. In a world filled with opinions, judgments, and comparisons, it is easy to lose sight of what you truly desire, of what is genuinely in alignment with your soul. Aloneness gives you the clarity to see what is yours to pursue, what is worth your energy, and what you must release. God does not want you to chase after every fleeting whim or to follow paths simply because others have said they are worthwhile. Rather, in the quiet, you learn to listen to the deepest parts of yourself, to hear what you truly yearn for. It is as though God is asking you to cleanse your vision, to rid yourself of the illusions that others have placed before you, so that you may walk a path that is truly your own. This time alone is also about learning to trust the divine process, to let go of the need for constant reassurance or validation. In solitude, you are asked to surrender your need to know every detail of how your journey will unfold. It is a call to let go of control and to trust that the path before you is unfolding in perfect timing, even when you cannot see every step. This trust is essential because it creates a faith that is unbreakable, a faith that endures even in the face of uncertainty. God prepares you in this solitude to be unwavering, to be grounded in a belief that you are guided and supported, even when you stand alone. One of the greatest gifts of aloneness is the freedom it brings. Alone, you no longer seek to perform or to prove yourself to others. There is no one to impress, no one to appease, and in this freedom, you can explore who you are without constraint. You can express yourself authentically, allowing your true nature to surface without fear of judgment. This freedom is not merely a release from social expectations, it is the liberation of your spirit, the unleashing of your creative potential. When you come to know this freedom, you carry it with you, even when you return to the presence of others. You are no longer bound by the need for approval, for you have come to know the profound liberation that God has gifted you through this period of aloneness. In this preparation, God is also teaching you self-love, a love that is independent of others' affections or attention. Alone, you learn to embrace yourself wholly, to appreciate your own company, to nurture yourself in ways that are deep and fulfilling. This self-love becomes the cornerstone of every relationship you will have. When you love yourself, you no longer enter relationships out of need or fear. You connect from a place of abundance, from a place of strength. This self-love creates a foundation for genuine, healthy relationships because it is rooted in an understanding of your own worth and completeness. So if you find yourself alone, remember that this is not a punishment or a sign of deficiency. It is God's way of readying you for a life of purpose, joy, and fulfillment. This is a sacred time, a precious season where you are given the chance to grow, to heal, to strengthen, and to rediscover the divinity that resides within you. Embrace this preparation, for when you emerge from it, you will carry a peace, a strength, and a clarity that no one can take from you. There lies an invitation to experience something beyond the ordinary, a meeting with the divine presence within. When we are alone, the noise of the world fades, and with it, all the external expectations, opinions, and judgments that so often shape how we perceive ourselves. This aloneness is a sacred gift, a time when we are drawn inward to discover that the divinity we have searched for outwardly has been quietly present within us all along. Most people seek comfort, validation, and guidance from the outside world, relying on the opinions of others, on social structures, and on relationships. Yet there comes a time when this seeking leads us to feel incomplete, restless, and even discontented. There is a divine purpose to this discomfort. It is as if God is calling you to shift your gaze inward, to cease looking outside for what can only be found within. In this solitude, you begin to encounter your inner divinity, a process that transforms your understanding of who you are and what it means to be connected to something greater. In moments of solitude, we confront the layers of ourselves that we may have hidden, ignored, or dismissed. Without the distractions of daily life, we meet parts of ourselves we didn't know existed, parts we might have neglected in our attempts to fit into societal molds. This unveiling is necessary because these hidden aspects are often the keys to our inner divinity. Divine truth resides not in some lofty, unattainable part of us, but in these very parts we may have overlooked. Through accepting these facets of ourselves, we come to understand that divinity is not something external or foreign. It is the very essence of who we are at our core. Encountering this inner divinity is a process of deepening self-awareness. It is as though the light within begins to shine brighter, illuminating the beliefs, patterns, and emotions that cloud our vision of ourselves. Through this illumination, we start to see our true nature, a nature that is compassionate, wise, and inherently connected to the divine source. The more we connect with this aspect of ourselves, the less dependent we become on external approval, and the more we begin to rely on the guidance of this inner voice, this divine presence that knows our path more intimately than anyone else ever could. This journey within also brings us face to face with our fears and doubts. In solitude, we have no one else to hide behind, no distractions to shield us from our insecurities. It can be an uncomfortable experience as we confront the voices of fear and inadequacy that have, perhaps unconsciously, driven many of our choices. Yet it is here, in the midst of these fears, that the divine presence within begins to make itself known. Instead of being swallowed by these fears, you start to see them as temporary, as illusions born from past conditioning rather than as reflections of your true self. The inner divinity begins to emerge as a voice of calm, of reassurance, a steady presence that tells you that you are enough, that you are guided, and that there is nothing to fear. Through this encounter, a profound sense of peace and trust begins to develop. You start to understand that you are connected to something vast and wise, something that has always been guiding you. In those quiet moments, you realize that the divine within you is not separate from you, it is you. It is the source of your intuition, your inspiration, and your strength. This realization is transformative because it shifts the way you move through life. No longer do you seek answers from others as fervently as you once did. You learn to trust the insights and wisdom that arise from within, knowing that this inner guidance is aligned with the divine plan for your life. In connecting with this inner divinity, you also become aware of the love that dwells within you, a love that is not dependent on any external conditions. This love is unconditional, boundless, and deeply healing. It is the love of the divine that sees you as whole, as complete, just as you are. When you connect with this love, you realize that you no longer need to chase after love in the outside world. You are love, and this realization changes the way you relate to yourself and to others. You begin to let go of relationships, habits, and situations that do not honor this divine love within you. In their place, you cultivate relationships and circumstances that reflect the peace, joy, and love you now carry within. This encounter with your inner divinity also awakens a sense of purpose. You understand that you are not here by accident, that your life has meaning beyond mere survival or superficial success. This purpose is not something that can be defined by society's standards. It is unique to you, a calling that only you can fulfill. This divine purpose may not reveal itself all at once, but in solitude, you begin to sense its presence, to feel its gentle pull guiding you in a certain direction. You realize that your purpose is not something you have to strive for or achieve in the traditional sense. It is an unfolding, a journey of becoming that is guided by the divine presence within. In this sacred encounter with your inner divinity, you find a source of strength, love, and wisdom that empowers you to live authentically. You no longer feel the need to conform to the expectations of others or to seek approval from the outside world. Instead, you move forward with a deep sense of peace, knowing that you are guided and supported by the divine presence within. This inner divinity becomes your compass, leading you toward experiences, relationships, and opportunities that are aligned with your true self. When you encounter your inner divinity, you begin to live a life that is grounded, purposeful, and filled with a sense of connection to something greater. You understand that you are never truly alone, because the divine presence within you is always there, guiding you, loving you, and supporting you on every step of your journey. In the stillness of silence, there is a power that cannot be found amidst the constant noise and activity of the outside world. Silence often feels daunting because in it we are left with only ourselves, our thoughts, our fears, and our hopes. But it is in this very silence that an unshakable strength is born, a strength that isn't dependent on external forces, a strength rooted deeply within the soul. When you allow yourself to step away from the noise, from the distractions of daily life, you create space for something profound to unfold within you. Silence strips away the demands and expectations that society places upon you, as well as the identities you might take on to meet those demands. When the external voices fade, you begin to hear the voice within. This is the voice of your true self, your inner wisdom, and ultimately the divine. Strength born from silence isn't about hardening yourself or pushing through life's challenges by sheer force. It's about becoming resilient through understanding and inner peace. You come face to face with who you truly are, beyond roles, titles, or labels. When you sit with yourself in this way, there is no one to impress, no one to convince. you are left with only yourself, which can initially be uncomfortable. All your insecurities, doubts, and fears rise to the surface when there is nothing to distract you from them. But instead of being overwhelming, this process is transformative. In the silence, you start to see these fears for what they truly are: thoughts and feelings that, while powerful, do not define you. You learn to separate yourself from your thoughts, realizing that they are not as permanent or as true as they might seem in the heat of the moment. You begin to experience a deeper, more resilient part of yourself, your awareness, your consciousness, the part of you that remains unchanged by external circumstances. Silence teaches you to stop reacting to every situation or impulse. Often, life can feel like a series of reactions, one after another, as we rush from one task to the next, trying to keep up with external expectations. In silence, however, you begin to cultivate the power of response over reaction. There is a subtle difference, yet it is profound. Reaction is immediate and often driven by emotions or conditioning response. On the other hand, comes from a place of calm reflection, from an awareness that has considered all aspects of a situation. Silence gives you the space to respond, rather than react, allowing you to move through life with greater intention and clarity. One of the most powerful lessons silence imparts is the ability to listen, truly listen, not just to others but to yourself. Often our inner voice is drowned out by the noise of the outside world, by the demands of work, relationships, and societal expectations. In silence, however, you begin to hear this voice clearly. This is not the voice of your ego, which speaks from a place of fear and desire, but the voice of your intuition, your inner wisdom. This voice, quiet yet unwavering, knows what you truly need, even when your conscious mind might be focused elsewhere. Through silence, you learn to trust this voice, to recognize its truth, and to rely on it as a guiding force in your life. This inner strength that grows in silence is not about being unaffected by life's challenges. Rather, it is about developing the capacity to meet those challenges from a place of inner calm. When you are rooted in this strength, you are less likely to be shaken by the ups and downs of life. You begin to understand that your peace is not something that can be taken away by external circumstances because it is not dependent on them. It arises from within, from your connection to your true self, a self that is grounded in the eternal rather than in the transient. Through silence, you also begin to cultivate patience, both with yourself and with others. In a world that values speed and productivity, silence teaches you that growth and transformation cannot be rushed. True strength, the kind that is lasting and unshakable, requires time and patience to develop. In silence, you come to accept this pace, recognizing that every moment of solitude, every quiet reflection, is contributing to your inner growth. The strength that comes from silence allows you to navigate relationships with greater ease and authenticity. When you are at peace with yourself, when you have faced your own fears and insecurities, you are less likely to project these onto others. You can approach relationships from a place of wholeness rather than neediness or fear. You no longer seek validation or approval, because you have found a source of validation within. This makes you a more compassionate, understanding, and patient presence in the lives of those around you, for you have learned to offer yourself these same qualities. Silence is a form of communion with the divine, a space where you reconnect with the sacred essence within you. This connection is where true strength lies. You realize that you are never truly alone, that there is a presence within you that is vast, wise, and unconditionally loving. This presence is your source of strength, a strength that can face any challenge, because it is not limited by the human mind or body. It is a strength that arises from your connection to the infinite, to the divine that exists within you and around you. In a world that often sees silence as empty or passive, you come to understand that it is, in fact, full of potential and power. It is in silence that you gather the courage to pursue your deepest dreams, to honor your true self, and to live a life that is aligned with your highest purpose. This strength through silence is not something that you can measure or quantify, but it is felt in every decision you make, in the peace you carry, and in the resilience you exhibit. It is the strength of knowing who you are, of being connected to something greater than yourself, and of moving through life with a sense of purpose and calm that no external force can disrupt. So if you find yourself in silence, embrace it. Let it become your sanctuary, a place where you return again and again to reconnect with your inner strength. I end the journey towards self-discovery. There comes a point where we must confront and understand the nature of our desires. Desires are the motivating forces of our lives. They shape our actions, color our perceptions, and dictate much of our experience. But not all desires serve our highest good. Many desires are rooted in temporary satisfaction, in ego, and in attachment to the material world. The process of purification is not about eliminating desire, but about transforming it, understanding which desires truly serve our spiritual growth, and which ones keep us bound to illusion and limitation. Purification of desires is a gradual shedding of the layers that separate us from our true nature. The desires that arise from fear, from the need to prove ourselves, or from a sense of lack are like clouds obscuring the light of our inner self. These desires can feel urgent and consuming, pushing us to seek fulfillment in ways that are often fleeting. Yet over time, these same desires reveal their inability to bring us lasting happiness, as they are tied to an ever-changing world. In the silence of reflection, we begin to see that many of our desires do not come from a place of wholeness. Rather, they are attempts to fill an emptiness that can only truly be satisfied by connecting with the divine. The first step in this purification is awareness, becoming conscious of the nature and origins of our desires. Without judgment or guilt, we observe ourselves, looking closely at the motivations behind our wants. Are they born from fear of missing out, from a need to impress, or from a desire to control? Often, what we think we want is not the object itself, but the feeling we believe it will bring: security, love, validation, or power. Through self-inquiry, we begin to distinguish between desires that are transient and self-centered, and those that come from a place of genuine love, compassion, and truth. As we purify our desires, we begin to recognize that many of our wants were reflections of social conditioning rather than authentic expressions of our soul. Society often tells us that success, wealth, status, and popularity are the markers of a meaningful life. However, when we examine these values in the quiet of introspection, we may find that they hold little real satisfaction. True fulfillment comes not from conforming to societal expectations, but from aligning with our inner calling, our higher purpose. Purified desires are those that reflect the essence of who we are beyond our personality and our social roles. They are the desires that nourish our spirit, that guide us towards self-realization rather than self-aggrandizement. The process of purification also involves letting go of attachment. Many of our desires are tied to a specific outcome or result, and when we cling to these expectations, we create suffering. Attachment makes us believe that our happiness depends on obtaining or achieving something outside ourselves, whether it's a particular job, a relationship, or a certain lifestyle. In truth, these external attachments often distract us from our inner peace. To purify desire is to release the need for any specific outcome and to embrace a sense of trust in the unfolding of life. When we let go of attachment, we open ourselves to the possibility that there may be a higher plan, a divine wisdom guiding our lives in ways that we may not immediately understand. Purified desire then becomes a desire for connection, for truth, and for love. It is no longer about accumulating or achieving, but about aligning with our divine nature. This desire is unselfish. It seeks not to take but to give, not to possess but to experience. When our desires are purified, they transform into expressions of service, compassion, and love. Rather than seeking to gain something from the world, we become inspired to bring forth our gifts, to share our light, and to uplift others. This shift from selfish to selfless desire is a profound transformation, one that brings a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. This purification process is not one of deprivation but of liberation. As we release the desires that no longer serve us, we free ourselves from the burdens and limitations they impose. We become lighter, more open, more present to the beauty of each moment. Purified desires do not pull us out of the present into a future that may or may not come to pass. They allow us to fully inhabit each moment. to engage with life as it is. This presence brings with it a joy that is independent of circumstances, a joy that arises from within and is not contingent on anything outside ourselves. Through this purification, we also come to see that desire itself is an expression of the divine impulse within us. It is not that desires are inherently wrong, but that they need to be aligned with the true nature of our being. When we purify our desires, we align them with the highest good, with the intention to grow, to love, to understand, and to serve. In doing so, our desires become expressions of the divine will, and we find that our life flows with a sense of harmony and purpose. The journey of purification is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. As we grow, we encounter new layers of desire, new attachments to release, and deeper truths to embody. This path requires patience, compassion, and honesty with ourselves. It is a journey of self-discovery that brings us closer to our true nature and to the divine presence that resides within us. In purified desire, we find a profound sense of freedom. No longer are we chasing after fleeting goals or temporary pleasures. Instead, we are motivated by a love for life itself, a desire to experience the depth and beauty of existence in every form. This purified desire is expansive and inclusive. It connects us to all of life, to the oneness that underlies all of creation. Through it, we transcend the small self and step into a larger, more universal expression of who we are. Purification of desires brings us into alignment with the divine purpose for our lives. We find that our desires, once purified, become the very means through which the divine expresses itself in the world. They are no longer about self-gain, but about self-realization, about fulfilling the purpose for which we were created. Through purified desires, we become instruments of peace, love, and light, and in this we find the fulfillment we have always sought. The journey toward unveiling one's authentic self is a journey homeward, a path to rediscovering the true essence that lies beneath layers of conditioning, expectations, and roles adopted through life. For most, the notion of self is shaped largely by the outer world. We take on roles assigned by family, society, and career, and in doing so, we often lose sight of our innermost self, the one that existed before any labels, titles, or masks were applied. Unveiling the authentic self requires courage, reflection, and a willingness to go beyond the familiar territory of ego-driven identities into the boundless landscape of our true nature. To begin this process, we must first understand that the authentic self is not something created, it is something uncovered. Beneath the myriad layers of identity, preferences, and social personas, there is a core self that has remained unchanged. This self is constant, unaffected by the opinions of others, unaltered by success or failure, and untouched by life's passing circumstances. Yet to access this core self, we must be willing to examine and question the illusions we've accepted as me. This journey is often uncomfortable, as it requires dismantling the defenses and personas that once felt like sources of protection and security. However, what we find in their place is a clarity and peace that no external validation can offer. One of the first steps in unveiling the authentic self is to question the beliefs and assumptions we have accepted about ourselves and the world. Many of these beliefs are inherited, shaped by family, culture, and society rather than by personal experience or truth. We are told who we should be, what success looks like, and how we ought to behave. These messages are often well-meaning, yet they limit us, forcing us into roles that may not align with our true nature. But through honest self-inquiry, we begin to see which parts of our identity are truly ours and which are borrowed from others. This is a process of letting go, of recognizing that our authentic self does not need to conform to any external standards. It exists independently, whole and complete, beyond any conditioning. To unveil the authentic self, we must also become comfortable with solitude and introspection. In silence, free from the expectations of others, we create a space for our true nature to emerge. In this stillness, we listen not to the thoughts that race through our minds, but to the deeper, quieter voice within. This voice is not loud or forceful, it is subtle, like a whisper. It is often drowned out by the noise of daily life, by the pressures of work, relationships, and societal demands. But when we sit with ourselves in silence, we begin to recognize this voice as our true guide, a compass pointing us toward the life that resonates with our soul. An essential part of this journey is facing the parts of ourselves that we may have hidden or denied. The authentic self includes not only our strengths but also our vulnerabilities, insecurities, and fears. These aspects are not flaws, they are part of our humanity. To unveil our true self, we must embrace these parts with compassion rather than judgment. Often we fear that if others see these parts of us, we will be rejected or judged. However, it is in embracing our wholeness, both light and shadow, that we find true liberation. This acceptance allows us to be fully present, to show up in life as we are without needing to pretend or prove anything. Unveiling the authentic self also involves letting go of the need for external approval. We are often taught that our worth depends on the acceptance of others, on their opinions and judgments. This belief creates a constant pressure to conform, to mold ourselves to fit expectations. Yet, the authentic self is not bound by the opinions of others. It knows its own value, independent of praise or criticism. As we detach from the need for approval, we discover a profound sense of freedom. We are no longer driven by the desire to impress or please. Instead, we are guided by an inner integrity, a commitment to live in alignment with our true values and desires. The authentic self is not separate from life but deeply connected to it. When we unveil this self, we realize that we are not isolated individuals but part of a greater whole. Our actions, thoughts, and intentions have an impact on others and on the world around us. This understanding awakens a sense of responsibility, not out of obligation but out of love. We no longer act from a place of self-interest alone, we act in ways that contribute to the well-being of all. This interconnectedness is not something that can be intellectually understood, it must be felt. And it is only when we unveil our true self that we can experience this unity in its fullness. As we journey inward, we may also discover gifts, talents, and passions that have long been dormant, buried beneath layers of fear or doubt. These gifts are not accidents, they are expressions of our unique essence. Unveiling the authentic self means allowing these gifts to shine, not for recognition, but as an offering to the world. Each of us has a unique purpose, a role to play in the larger tapestry of life. When we connect with our authentic self, we naturally align with this purpose. Life becomes not a series of tasks to be accomplished, but a joyful expression of who we are. Living from the authentic self does not mean that life will be free from challenges. However, when we live from this place of truth, we are no longer swayed by every external circumstance. We remain grounded, resilient, and capable of navigating life's ups and downs with grace. The authentic self is like an anchor, keeping us steady amidst life's storms. It is a source of strength, peace, and joy that cannot be found in the external world. In unveiling the authentic self, we come home to ourselves. We stop seeking fulfillment outside and realize that everything we have ever sought is already within us. This journey is a return to the simplicity of being, a shedding of everything that is not truly ours. And in this state of being, we find a profound joy, a peace that surpasses understanding, and a love that encompasses all. It is a journey worth taking, for in unveiling our authentic self, we discover the beauty, power, and divinity that resides within. This is our true nature, our essence, and our greatest gift to the world. Building faith and trust is an inner journey, a conscious cultivation of belief in both the unseen forces of the universe and the deep wisdom within ourselves. Faith and trust, though often spoken of together, are distinct yet intertwined qualities. Faith is the invisible thread that connects us to something greater than ourselves, an abiding confidence in the guidance of a higher power or the intelligence of life itself. Trust, on the other hand, is the willingness to lean into that connection, to release control and open to life as it unfolds. Together they empower us to face uncertainty, adversity, and the unknown with grace and resilience. Developing faith requires an acknowledgement that we cannot always see the path ahead. It calls for a relinquishing of the mind's desire for certainty and a surrendering to the flow of life. Faith is born not from what is tangible or logical, but from a deep inner knowing that there is purpose and order beyond what we can comprehend. This knowing often emerges from personal experience, moments of synchronicity, the feeling of being guided, or the realization that some unseen force has sustained us even in our darkest times. Building faith, then, is like strengthening a muscle. It grows through conscious practice, through turning inward and listening to the quiet wisdom that arises when we stop looking outward for validation. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate faith is to become comfortable with uncertainty. The mind craves answers and security, yet true faith asks us to release these attachments. Life's uncertainties are not meant to be feared but embraced, for they are the fertile ground where faith takes root. When we step into the unknown, we create space for new possibilities, for growth that would not be possible within the confines of the familiar. This willingness to face the unknown with an open heart is the essence of faith, for it shows our trust in a universe that is infinitely intelligent and supportive, even when we cannot see the full picture. Trusting the journey is also an essential aspect of this inner work. While faith is the seed, trust is the act of nurturing it. Trusting the journey means accepting that each moment, each experience, whether joyful or painful, is an integral part of our path. It's easy to trust life when things are going well, yet the true measure of trust is our response during times of challenge or loss. In those moments, we are asked to trust that even what seems difficult or unfair is serving a higher purpose, helping us grow in ways we may not yet understand. Trust allows us to be patient and to surrender our need to control outcomes. It is a deep surrender to life's timing, a recognition that what is meant for us will never miss us, and what is not meant for us will ultimately fall away. Building faith and trust also involves letting go of our attachment to how things should be. We are often conditioned to believe that life should unfold in a particular way, that certain accomplishments, relationships, or circumstances are necessary for happiness. However, these attachments can create inner turmoil, for they often do not align with the unfolding of our true path. Faith asks us to release these rigid expectations and to trust that what is happening is exactly what is needed. When we let go of attachment, we free ourselves from the constant push and pull of desire and aversion, opening ourselves to a sense of peace that comes from accepting life on its own terms. Another profound aspect of building faith and trust is learning to listen to our intuition. Intuition is the voice of our inner wisdom, a quiet yet powerful guide that speaks not through words but through feelings, insights, and inner knowing. Trusting our intuition requires faith in ourselves, in our ability to sense what is right, even if it defies logic or convention. Our intuition is like a compass, pointing us in the direction of our true path. However, to follow it, we must silence the doubts and fears of the mind, trusting that this inner guidance is leading us where we need to go. Each time we act on our intuition, we strengthen our faith in our own inner wisdom, cultivating a deeper sense of trust in ourselves and in the path that is unfolding. Faith and trust also grow through gratitude and mindfulness. When we cultivate gratitude for each experience, we affirm our belief that every moment holds a lesson, a gift, or an opportunity for growth. Gratitude shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, reminding us that life is abundant and supportive. This practice helps to build trust in life itself, as we begin to see that even the smallest blessings are signs of the universe's generosity. Mindfulness, too, is essential in building faith, as it keeps us grounded in the present moment. When we are fully present, we are no longer lost in fears about the future or regrets about the past. We become open to the magic of life as it is, here and now. This awareness brings a sense of peace, a feeling of being held by something greater than ourselves. Building faith and trust is about aligning with the flow of life rather than resisting it. It is about surrendering the need for answers, for control, and for certainty, and embracing the mystery of existence. This surrender is not a weakness but a strength, for it allows us to be resilient, adaptable, and open to transformation. Faith and trust give us the courage to face life's challenges without losing hope, to walk through dark valleys knowing that there is light on the other side. In this journey, we come to see that faith and trust are not abstract concepts but living, breathing forces within us. They are the quiet courage that allows us to keep going, the inner peace that sustains us when things fall apart. They remind us that we are never truly alone, that we are connected to a vast and loving intelligence that guides us at every step. As we build faith and trust, we begin to live from a place of inner strength, knowing that we are supported, that life is unfolding exactly as it should, and that we are exactly where we need to be. This is the gift of faith and trust, a deep-seated peace, an unwavering confidence in the journey, and an abiding love for the mystery of life itself. Freedom from attachment is not simply the absence of desire, it is a profound shift in how we relate to the people, circumstances, and things in our lives. Attachment binds us, not because we care deeply, but because we begin to believe that our happiness, worth, or identity depends on something outside of ourselves. This belief traps us in a cycle of need and dissatisfaction, creating a constant chase for fulfillment that ultimately leaves us feeling empty or restless. True freedom from attachment is the liberation of the self, a return to inner wholeness where our sense of joy and peace is no longer reliant on external conditions. To begin the journey toward freedom from attachment, we must first understand the nature of attachment itself. Attachment stems from our tendency to equate having with being. We attach ourselves to possessions, people, or achievements because we believe that they define us. Society often reinforces this attachment by promoting the idea that success, relationships, or status can provide lasting happiness. But as soon as we begin identifying with these things, they become conditions for our contentment. We become anxious, fearing their loss, or constantly striving to obtain them. This creates a mindset where our inner state is dictated by the presence or absence of external factors, placing us in a cycle of dependency that restricts our ability to experience true joy and peace. A key step in achieving freedom from attachment is to recognize that everything in life is temporary. People, possessions, situations, they all come and go. No matter how tightly we cling to them, we cannot prevent change or loss. Recognizing this impermanence does not mean we become detached in a cold, indifferent way. Rather, it allows us to appreciate each experience, each relationship, each moment, without expecting them to last forever or define us. By accepting the temporary nature of life, we free ourselves from the fear of loss. This doesn't diminish our love or passion, it deepens it, as we become present with what is, valuing each moment for itself rather than as a means to an end. Another aspect of freeing ourselves from attachment involves letting go of the belief that external achievements or possessions will bring lasting happiness. While it's natural to have goals, aspirations, and dreams, attachment forms when we begin to believe that these achievements are essential for our fulfillment. We chase success, validation, or material gains, thinking that these will complete us. But this form of attachment is rooted in a sense of lack, a feeling that we are somehow incomplete or unworthy as we are. True freedom is recognizing that we are already whole, that our worth is inherent and not dependent on what we achieve or possess. When we understand this, our pursuits become expressions of joy and creativity rather than attempts to fill an inner void. Freedom from attachment also means releasing the need to control others or circumstances. Often we attach to the idea of things turning out a certain way or to people behaving as we wish. This attachment to outcomes creates suffering, as life rarely conforms to our expectations. When we are bound by attachment, we become reactive, resisting or fighting what we cannot control. True freedom lies in surrendering to the flow of life, allowing things to unfold as they are meant to, without imposing our will or insisting on specific outcomes. This does not mean we stop caring or cease to act. It means we release the need for things to happen on our terms, trusting that life's unfolding has a wisdom beyond what we can always see. In relationships, freedom from attachment is about loving without clinging. Attachment in relationships arises when we depend on others for our sense of identity, happiness, or security. This can lead to possessiveness, fear, and control, as we become invested in the other person fulfilling our needs. True freedom allows us to love from a place of abundance rather than lack. We cherish the people in our lives without feeling the need to possess them or fearing their departure. This kind of love respects the individuality of each person, allowing both to grow and evolve without the constraints of dependency. Loving without attachment means finding joy in the connection itself, not in what we can gain or how it fulfills us. It is a love that liberates rather than confines. The practice of mindfulness is a powerful tool for cultivating freedom from attachment. Mindfulness brings us into the present moment, where attachment has no place. When we are truly present, we are not longing for the future or clinging to the past. We are simply experiencing life as it is. Mindfulness allows us to observe our desires, fears, and patterns of attachment without judgment, creating a space between ourselves and our reactions. This awareness is the beginning of freedom, as we learn to witness our attachments without being ruled by them. In this space of awareness, we can make conscious choices, rather than reacting impulsively based on ingrained habits of attachment. Gratitude is another powerful practice that fosters freedom from attachment. By cultivating gratitude, we shift our focus from what we lack or fear losing to what we have right now. Gratitude is an acknowledgement of life's abundance, a reminder that our well-being is not dependent on any single thing, person, or outcome. When we live in gratitude, we stop seeking fulfillment outside ourselves. We recognize the richness of each moment. This mindset nurtures contentment, a sense of enoughness, where we feel complete, just as we are. Gratitude breaks the grip of attachment by grounding us in the present and reminding us that life is already a gift, without needing to add anything to it. Freedom from attachment is a path to self-liberation. It does not mean we live without desires or connections. It means we are no longer bound by them. We engage fully with life, love deeply, and pursue our dreams. But we do so with an open hand, allowing life to flow through us without clinging or grasping. In this state of freedom, we experience a profound peace, a sense of wholeness that arises from within. We are no longer caught in the endless cycle of seeking and losing, of fear and desire. Instead, we find joy in simply being, trusting that life will provide what is needed and that our essence, our true self, is beyond the reach of anything transient. To live in this freedom is to experience a love, peace, and fulfillment that is not dependent on circumstances. It is the liberation of the soul, the recognition that we are not defined by what we possess, who we are with, or what we achieve. In this freedom, we are truly ourselves, boundless, complete, and at peace with all that is. This is the essence of a life lived in freedom from attachment, an unshakable joy, an abiding love, and a deep inner peace that transcends the comings and goings of the external world. Manifesting your true desires is an act of aligning your inner world with the power of intention, clarity, and unwavering belief. It is a process of focusing on what is most deeply fulfilling to you, rather than what society, family, or superficial influences might tell you to want. True manifestation requires an inward journey to discover what genuinely lights up your soul, and a commitment to that vision with both mind and heart. It is the art of creating reality from the inside out, using the energy of your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs as the foundation. The first step in manifesting your true desires is self-awareness. Often people are not fully aware of their deepest desires because they are too busy focusing on what they think they should want. Society constantly feeds us ideas about success, relationships, and material goods, and it is easy to confuse these external ideals with our own inner calling. Manifestation begins with quieting external influences and asking ourselves, what truly matters to me? What brings me joy, peace, and fulfillment? In this stillness, we connect with our authentic selves, uncovering the desires that resonate at the core of our being. Self-awareness in manifestation is not just about knowing what you want. It is about discovering why you want it and how it aligns with who you truly are. Clarity is the next vital component in manifesting your true desires. Clear intentions are like seeds that, when planted in the fertile ground of your mind, have the potential to grow into reality. Ambiguity weakens the power of manifestation, as scattered intentions yield scattered results. To manifest successfully, take the time to create a vivid mental picture of what you want, allowing every detail to come alive in your mind. The more precisely you can define your vision, the stronger your ability to attract it. Imagine not only what this desire looks like, but also how it feels. Engage all your senses in this vision, so it becomes an experience in your mind and heart, as if it were already present. This clarity sends a powerful message to the universe and to your subconscious mind, saying, "This is my true desire, and I am ready to receive it." Belief is the fuel that powers manifestation. Without belief, even the most vivid desire remains a distant wish. You must believe in your ability to bring your desires into reality, regardless of current circumstances or past limitations. But this belief is more than mere optimism. It is a deep-seated conviction that what you desire is not only possible but is already on its way to you. Belief does not require you to know how everything will unfold. It only asks you to trust that the how will reveal itself in time. When you cultivate this faith, you align your thoughts and emotions with the frequency of your desire. This alignment allows the process of manifestation to flow naturally, unhindered by doubt or fear. Every time doubt creeps in, consciously replace it with thoughts of confidence and trust, reinforcing the belief that your desire is inevitable. An essential part of manifesting your true desires is embracing the power of gratitude. Gratitude amplifies the energy of abundance within you, shifting your focus from lack to fulfillment. Instead of focusing on what you do not have, gratitude trains you to appreciate what is already present in your life. This state of appreciation raises your vibration, bringing you into alignment with more experiences that reflect abundance and joy. By being grateful for your desires as if they are already fulfilled, you send a powerful signal that you are open and ready to receive. This mindset shifts your energy from a state of wanting and needing to a state of abundance and receptivity. Gratitude, therefore, is not only a tool for happiness, it is a magnetic force in the process of manifestation. Aligned action is another crucial step in manifesting your desires. While it is essential to hold a clear vision and strong belief, manifestation is not a passive process. Taking steps toward your desires, however small, shows your commitment to your vision. Aligned action does not mean forcing things to happen. Instead, it is about acting in ways that feel inspired and natural, steps that resonate with the direction of your desire. When you are aligned with your true desires, the right actions will often reveal themselves without effort. These steps may involve learning new skills, meeting new people, or making necessary changes to prepare for the arrival of your desires. Each action you take strengthens your intention, reinforcing to yourself and the universe that you are ready and willing to receive what you desire. Letting go of attachment to the outcome is also vital in manifestation. Attachment often stems from a place of fear or lack, creating resistance that blocks the flow of your desires. When you cling to an outcome, you are essentially telling the universe that you do not trust the process, which contradicts the essence of true manifestation. Letting go does not mean giving up on your desire. It means releasing the need for it to happen in a specific way or by a certain time. Trust that what is meant for you will come in the perfect way and time, and surrender the how to the intelligence of the universe. This surrender creates a sense of peace and allows you to stay open to unexpected opportunities and experiences that may be even better than what you originally envisioned. In manifesting your true desires, you embark on a profound journey of self-discovery and inner alignment. This process isn't just about gaining things, it's about uncovering the power within you to shape your reality with purpose, gratitude, and unwavering faith. By understanding your deepest desires, cultivating clarity, belief, and taking inspired action, you align with the energy that draws your vision into existence. Letting go of attachment and embodying the feelings of already having what you seek elevates your energy, allowing you to co-create with life in harmony and abundance. As you move forward, remember that manifestation is not a destination but an ongoing partnership between your inner world and the universe. Stay open, stay grateful, and trust the journey. Thank you for taking the time to explore this path, and may your journey of manifestation lead to a life filled with true fulfillment and joy. There is a rare strength in silence, a potency not seen by many. While the world urges us to explain, to prove, to argue our worth, there is a deeper wisdom in refraining, in letting the unsaid be the keeper of your peace. When you choose silence, you are not submitting to weakness. No, you are harnessing a power beyond words, a power rooted in the realm of the unseen. In a world that values loud declarations and constant communication, silence is often misunderstood, seen as weakness or passivity. But silence holds a unique power, a quiet strength that, when cultivated, elevates one beyond the noise, beyond the need for validation, and beyond the incessant demands of the external world. Choosing silence, especially in moments where speaking is expected or reaction is provoked, reveals a mastery over oneself, a calm that stands apart from the turmoil of emotions and impulses. It's in these pauses that true wisdom resides. Silence is a boundary. It shields you from distractions, from those who seek to sway or diminish you with their words or influence. When you choose not to react, when you refrain from engaging with energies that are draining or negative, you protect your own. This silence, however, is not an empty void, it's a shield, an invisible armor that safeguards your mind and spirit from the forces that would pull you into unnecessary conflict. By staying silent, you conserve your energy, directing it where it is most needed, where it can serve you rather than scattering it on fruitless exchanges. When you choose silence, you are not only guarding your energy but also allowing yourself to act with greater intention. Words are often reactionary, spoken in haste or anger. But silence, on the other hand, gives you the space to step back, to consider, and to respond rather than react. Through silence, you learn patience, you train yourself to wait, to let emotions settle, to see a situation for what it truly is, rather than what your initial reaction dictates. In that stillness, clarity emerges, allowing you to perceive things others miss, to understand layers beyond the surface, and to approach life's complexities with a clear and composed mind. There is also a profound power in what is unsaid. When you refrain from sharing your every thought or revealing your innermost plans, you retain a mystery, a sacredness to your inner world that others cannot touch. Not everyone needs to know your intentions, your desires, or your beliefs. By keeping these to yourself, you prevent outside influences from diluting or distorting what you hold dear. In silence, you can nurture your dreams and visions without the interference or judgment of others. You let your ideas germinate in a protected space, hidden from the scrutiny of others, allowing them to take root and grow strong before they are ready to be shared. Silence is also an expression of confidence. In a society that often equates confidence with loudness and self-assurance with boasting, silence is a quiet assertion of one's worth. It's a reminder that you do not need to prove yourself to anyone, that you are content in knowing your value without broadcasting it to the world. Those who are secure in themselves do not feel compelled to defend or explain their actions or beliefs. They understand that true strength lies in restraint. It is a silent, unshakable confidence that speaks louder than words, commanding respect without the need for validation or applause. In this way, silence becomes transformative. It brings a serenity that's unassailable, a peace that cannot be shaken by others' opinions or judgments. Through silence, you gain control over your reactions, allowing you to move through life with a steady, unflappable calm. You become the eye of the storm, untouched by the chaos around you, observing, choosing when and how to engage. You retain control over your inner world, keeping it free from the intrusions of those who might seek to disturb it. The power of silence is the power of self-mastery. It is the ability to hold your ground, to let go of the need for external approval, and to direct your energy towards what truly matters. In silence, there is strength, resilience, and an unspoken confidence that nothing in the world can diminish. It is here, in the quiet depths of silence, that you reclaim your power, finding clarity, purpose, and peace. Silence, then, is not merely the absence of words, it is the presence of wisdom, intention, and unwavering strength. In a world constantly buzzing with noise, distractions, and the expectations of others, preserving your inner peace is not merely an option, it is essential. Inner peace is the sanctuary within, the calm space that allows you to navigate life's storms without being thrown off course. To protect this peace is to protect your well-being, your clarity, and the truest parts of yourself from the pressures and stresses that can otherwise consume you. It is in this inner peace that you find the strength to remain steady, no matter what chaos may surround you. Protecting your inner peace means learning to say no to the things, people, and situations that disrupt your balance. It means discerning between what nurtures your soul and what drains it. There will always be demands for your attention, and not all of them are worthy of your energy. When you guard your peace, you establish boundaries not out of selfishness, but out of self-respect. These boundaries serve as a line that others cannot cross, a reminder that your well-being is not negotiable. Every no spoken from a place of self-care strengthens your inner peace, reinforcing your dedication to maintaining a balanced and harmonious inner life. In preserving your inner peace, you also protect yourself from the influence of negativity. The world is filled with people who will try to project their frustrations, judgments, and insecurities onto you. But when you make peace your priority, you become more discerning about the energy you allow into your life. You recognize that not every opinion needs to be heeded, not every comment needs a response, and not every challenge requires engagement. By choosing what you give your attention to, you create a shield against unnecessary disturbances. This act of preservation is not about escaping reality, it's about cultivating a state of mind where you can observe without absorbing, where you can witness the noise without letting it penetrate your core. Inner peace also comes from releasing the need for control. Much of life is beyond our grasp, and attempting to control everything leads to tension, frustration, and ultimately burnout. To preserve your peace, you must learn the art of letting go of accepting what you cannot change and focusing instead on what you can. This surrender does not mean passivity, rather. It's a recognition that peace cannot coexist with the constant struggle to dominate every aspect of life. By embracing the flow, by accepting what is, you release yourself from the grip of anxiety and enter a state of ease. You learn to trust in the natural unfolding of life, confident that whatever comes, you will face it with resilience and calm. Maintaining your inner peace also requires a commitment to self-awareness. The journey inward allows you to recognize the thoughts, habits, and beliefs that disturb your equilibrium. Often we hold on to past hurts, regrets, or worries about the future, all of which disrupt our peace. But by cultivating mindfulness and awareness, you can identify these mental patterns and gently let them go. You begin to see that peace is not something to be found outside yourself, it is a state you create within. When you are mindful, you stay present, grounded in the here and now, unburdened by the weight of the past or the anxieties of the future. Preserving your inner peace involves taking time for solitude and reflection. The constant demands of modern life can make it easy to lose touch with yourself, to become overwhelmed by the expectations of others. Solitude allows you to reconnect with your essence, to remember who you are beyond roles and labels. In moments of quiet, you can recalibrate, recenter, and restore the parts of yourself that daily life may have worn down. It's in these times of solitude that your inner peace is renewed, as you reconnect with what truly matters to you and release what no longer serves. To preserve your inner peace is to commit to self-compassion. Often we are our own harshest critics, berating ourselves for mistakes or failures. But inner peace cannot thrive in an environment of self-judgment. When you are kind to yourself, when you forgive yourself, you foster a gentle space within, one where peace can flourish. Self-compassion allows you to move forward without the baggage of guilt or shame, to approach each day with a lightness that brings peace into your every moment. To protect your inner peace, you make a profound statement that your well-being, clarity, and joy are worth more than the noise, the drama, and the demands of the external world. You cultivate a strength that is unwavering, a calm that becomes your foundation, enabling you to live authentically, resiliently, and peacefully. Inner peace, once preserved, becomes the compass that guides you through life, a steady reminder of who you are and what truly matters. In a world where people often feel compelled to explain, justify, and verbalize every ambition, belief, and achievement, there is profound wisdom in letting actions speak for themselves. True influence is not derived from words alone, rather, it's the quiet consistency of one's actions that conveys the real message. When you choose to express yourself through what you do, rather than what you say, you develop a form of authenticity that resonates more deeply with others and brings clarity to your life's path. Actions carry a weight that words simply cannot. Words are often subject to interpretation, sometimes even misunderstood, but actions reveal your intentions with unmistakable clarity. They require no further explanation, no embellishment, no need to convince. An action done with purpose and integrity speaks to the truth of who you are. It communicates sincerity, effort, and dedication in a way that words alone never could. When you allow actions to be your voice, you eliminate the possibility of misinterpretation, creating a language of consistency and truth that others can recognize and respect. Actions reveal the depth of your commitment. Talk can be easy, promises can be made, goals declared, and visions painted in words, but it's in the doing that these words are tested. It's not enough to tell people what you plan to accomplish, or who you hope to be. Real change and growth are reflected in what you consistently choose to do. When you act on your intentions, you demonstrate that your words have substance, that your beliefs are more than ideas, they are realities in motion. The courage to pursue your goals, even in silence, marks the difference between empty declarations and genuine progress. Letting actions speak for you also protects your energy. Explaining yourself or defending your decisions can be draining and often unnecessary. There will always be those who question, doubt, or even discourage you. But when you let your actions do the talking, you no longer feel compelled to answer every critique or address every skeptic. You reserve your energy for the things that matter, for the actions that move you closer to your goals. This quiet focus allows you to stay committed to your path without getting sidetracked by the need for external validation. By letting actions speak for you, you also cultivate humility and grace. When your actions align with your values, you create a natural humility that requires no fanfare. There's no need to boast or advertise. Your life's work and dedication become evident in what you build, create, and pursue. This kind of humility is rare and powerful, rooted not in seeking recognition, but in the pure fulfillment of living according to your purpose. By remaining humble, you show others that true strength lies not in the need to be seen or heard, but in the quiet dedication to one's principles and passions. Actions not only reveal who you are to others, but also reinforce your own identity and values. Each choice you make, each step you take toward your goals, becomes a building block of your character. In the absence of words, you gain clarity on who you are, unclouded by external opinions or distractions. You learn that identity is not something to be constantly explained, it is something to be lived. Every action you take reinforces your self-image, solidifying your understanding of what matters to you and what you are willing to work for. There is also a great deal of respect that comes from allowing your actions to define you. People admire those who live their truth without the need to boast or convince others of their worth. When you focus on acting rather than talking, you embody the qualities of discipline, perseverance, and integrity. These traits speak loudly to those around you, creating a ripple effect that inspires others to act with the same commitment. By staying true to your path and letting your actions lead the way, you inspire others without having to say a word. Letting actions speak for you is a choice to live with authenticity, humility, and purpose. It is a reminder that words are fleeting, but actions leave a lasting legacy. Every decision, every effort, every small step contributes to the larger narrative of who you are and what you stand for. When you choose to act rather than explain, you walk in alignment with your values, inviting others to see the reality of your intentions through the quiet persistence of your efforts. In this silent strength, you find a peace that comes from knowing that you are true to yourself, that your life is not defined by what you say, but by what you consistently do. This is the essence of integrity, the true mark of character, and the most powerful statement you can make. Silence is often underestimated in its capacity to shield and protect. In a world filled with constant chatter, opinions, and conflicts, silence serves as a refuge, a buffer that separates us from the onslaught of negativity around us. To use silence as a shield is to intentionally distance oneself from the energies and influences that do not serve, protecting both mental and emotional well-being. Choosing silence in the face of negativity is not avoidance or passivity, it is a conscious act of self-preservation. a choice to maintain one's peace and integrity above all. When negativity arises, whether through harsh words, criticism, gossip, or outright conflict, the impulse to respond can be strong. After all, we often feel compelled to defend ourselves or to assert our perspective in the face of misunderstanding. Yet silence, when used with intention, allows us to step back and disengage from situations that would otherwise consume our energy. By not reacting, by choosing silence instead, we retain control over ourselves and our emotions. When silence becomes a shield that prevents negativity from taking root within us, enabling us to observe without absorbing, to witness without becoming entangled, is a powerful tool for maintaining emotional stability. Words once spoken can carry unintended weight and consequence, further escalating conflicts or deepening misunderstandings. Silence, on the other hand, creates a space between you and the negativity directed toward you. It acts as a neutral ground, allowing you to process and understand without the immediacy of reaction. This space is invaluable, as it provides the clarity needed to discern what truly deserves your attention and what does not. When you choose silence over reaction, you give yourself the opportunity to act thoughtfully, maintaining your composure and avoiding the emotional toll that can come from reactive engagement. Silence can act as a boundary, a quiet, unspoken limit that others learn to respect. When people realize that you do not react to provocations or entertain negativity, they are less likely to bring such energies into your space. Silence becomes a non-verbal signal that you will not participate in or encourage negativity. In this way, silence fosters a peaceful environment around you, creating an atmosphere where positive interactions are more likely to flourish. Rather than inviting confrontation, your silence communicates a message of strength and self-respect, one that deters others from trying to disturb your calm. Using silence as a shield also teaches you the art of detachment. When you refrain from engaging with negativity, you learn to separate yourself from other people's emotions and expectations. You realize that you are not responsible for others' reactions or projections, nor do you have to let them affect your own state of mind. This detachment is liberating. It allows you to observe situations from a more objective perspective, unclouded by the emotions that can arise in the heat of the moment. Through silence, you become more grounded, less susceptible to the moods and opinions of those around you. You hold your peace within, untouched by external turbulence. Silence allows you to cultivate a greater sense of inner peace. Constantly engaging in or reacting to negativity is mentally and emotionally exhausting. It drains your focus and distracts from the things that truly matter to you. By choosing silence, you conserve your energy, redirecting it toward constructive pursuits that uplift and fulfill you. The energy you save from not reacting to every negative word or action is energy you can devote to your growth, your goals, and your happiness. Silence, then, is not just a defense mechanism, it is a way to ensure that your energy is spent wisely and purposefully. There is also an element of humility and wisdom in using silence as a shield. It reflects an understanding that not every battle is worth fighting, and that not every comment requires a response. It's an acknowledgement that often people's negativity has more to do with their own struggles than with you. By choosing silence, you avoid getting caught up in issues that are not truly yours to solve. You rise above petty conflicts and low vibrations, keeping your focus on what truly matters. Silence becomes a statement of your self-respect and a testament to your strength. In choosing silence, you cultivate resilience. You train yourself to withstand the provocations and judgments of others without letting them disturb your inner peace. This resilience empowers you to face challenges with a calm, collected mind, unshaken by external negativity. Over time, this practice of silence strengthens your ability to remain centered and grounded in all circumstances, building a quiet but unbreakable fortitude within. Silence as a shield against negativity is a choice to protect your peace, to honor your boundaries, and to reserve your energy for what truly aligns with your purpose. It is a quiet, powerful act of self-respect that ensures you remain unaffected by the storms of negativity around you. In your silence, you find strength, resilience, and a sanctuary that no external force can disrupt. Silence becomes a fortress, safeguarding your spirit and allowing you to move through life with unwavering calm and clarity. There is an immense, often underestimated strength in choosing not to react. In a world that values quick responses and immediate reactions, refraining from responding can seem passive or weak. Yet in truth, it takes a high level of self-discipline and emotional intelligence to hold back, to resist the urge to defend, explain, or counter every word or action that comes your way. By choosing not to react, you preserve your power, maintain control over your emotions, and ultimately command more respect from others and from yourself. Not reacting provides a moment of pause, a chance to step back, observe, and assess a situation from a distance. Emotions are powerful and can drive us to say or do things we may later regret. When you refrain from reacting impulsively, you give yourself space to process and respond thoughtfully, if necessary. This pause can be transformative. It prevents you from being swayed by anger, frustration, or other reactive emotions, allowing you to see things from a more grounded perspective. In that moment of silence, you retain control, ensuring that whatever decision you make is aligned with your true intentions rather than fleeting emotions. By choosing not to react, you also protect your peace. Life is filled with challenges, and people may say or do things that trigger upset or provoke you. Reacting to every slight or criticism can be exhausting, draining you of your mental and emotional energy. Not every opinion requires a response. Not every challenge deserves engagement, and not every criticism is worth your time. When you learn to let go of the need to respond to negativity, you save your energy for what truly matters. By letting situations pass without reaction, you rise above them, keeping your focus and energy centered on your own path and goals. Choosing silence over reaction also communicates confidence. People who feel secure in themselves do not need to prove anything to others. They don't feel compelled to defend themselves at every turn or counter every judgment. This quiet confidence is powerful and often commands more respect than loud reactions. By holding back, you show that your worth and values are not up for debate, that you are grounded in who you are regardless of others' opinions. In not reacting, you communicate that you are unshaken, that you do not need validation, and that your strength is independent of external influences. Furthermore, choosing not to react can shift the dynamics of a situation. When someone is trying to provoke you, your lack of response can disarm them. People who aim to upset or control you rely on your reaction. Without it, they lose their power. In this way, silence becomes a boundary that subtly conveys, "You cannot disturb my peace." Rather than getting entangled in someone else's negativity, you create a protective barrier around yourself, demonstrating that you are not a participant in their game. This boundary is both respectful and firm, showing that you value your own well-being over engaging in unnecessary conflict. Not reacting is also an act of self-respect. When you choose to remain silent in the face of provocation, you honor your own worth. You recognize that your peace is more valuable than any temporary satisfaction that a reaction might bring. This self-respect strengthens your sense of identity and teaches others how to treat you. It sets a standard. You will not allow anyone to pull you into negativity or disrupt your calm. You become the master of your reactions, no longer swayed by external pressures, but grounded in your own values and self-respect. In choosing not to react, you cultivate resilience and inner strength. By letting go of the need to respond to every conflict, you develop a fortified inner peace that is not easily shaken. Over time, this practice builds a strong sense of self-control, helping you withstand challenges with grace and patience. You become less reactive, more centered, and ultimately more in tune with yourself and your goals. This resilience is invaluable, empowering you to handle life's difficulties with a calm, composed mind that is resistant to external disturbances. There is profound strength in non-reaction. It is not a sign of weakness, but of a quiet, inner power that does not seek validation. By choosing silence over reaction, you protect your peace, communicate confidence, and honor your self-worth. You cultivate resilience and learn the art of detachment, allowing you to move through life with a grounded clarity that is untouched by the chaos around you. This hidden strength becomes a foundation, a source of inner fortitude that enables you to face whatever comes with composure and grace. In choosing not to react, you embody a silent strength that resonates far beyond words, a strength that commands respect and reflects the profound depth of your character. In a world where sharing is encouraged and often expected, there is a quiet, powerful wisdom in guarding your dreams within the sacred space of silence. Dreams are delicate in their early stages, like seeds planted in fertile soil. They need time to grow strong roots before facing the elements of the outside world. When you choose to keep your dreams within, you protect them from the scrutiny, doubt, and influence of others. In silence, you create a sanctuary where your aspirations can grow freely, untouched by opinions or judgments. This silence becomes a nurturing womb, shielding your dreams as they take shape, allowing them to develop in purity and strength. Guarding your dreams within silence also shields them from the potentially limiting beliefs of others. Well-meaning friends, family, or colleagues may cast doubt, question your plans, or voice concerns based on their own fears or limitations. These external voices can cloud your vision, casting shadows of uncertainty over the pure, unformed dream you hold inside. By keeping your dreams to yourself, you protect them from these external influences, allowing them to grow without the weight of others' opinions. Silence becomes a form of freedom, giving your dreams the space to develop fully in alignment with your authentic desires, rather than being shaped or compromised by others' expectations. Holding your dreams in silence builds a quiet inner strength. When you resist the urge to share every thought, every ambition, you cultivate discipline and patience. You learn to rely on your inner guidance rather than seeking external validation. In this silence, you build a stronger connection to your intuition, trusting your own inner compass rather than the feedback of others. This strengthens your resolve and deepens your commitment to your goals. By not sharing, you ensure that your motivation comes from within, creating a powerful, unwavering force that is immune to outside judgment. Keeping your dreams within the womb of silence also creates a space for reflection and clarity. When you are not preoccupied with explaining your dreams to others, you can focus more deeply on what truly matters to you. Silence allows you to explore your dreams without distraction, to refine and reshape them according to your own vision. In this space, you can examine your motivations, adjust your goals, and align your dreams with your values. This inner work is essential, as it prepares you to pursue your dreams with a clear and purposeful intent, free from the noise and expectations of the world.